Hello, this is Mike, NoStressMike.com. This is going to be a long video here. And what I'm going to talk about is when I make decisions, well, before I make decisions, there are things that I consider. And I'm going to go through these things step by step. Uh, and like I say, here's a list of what they are. And but what I'm going to do is we're going to go one at a time, and I'm going to explain how these are the things that I think on. Now, uh, I know you're thinking, man, it's a long list, and that's a lot of things to think on. And you're right, it is. But it has taken me years to uh, understand what it is that I do. I've never even thought about this stuff before. I just thought, well, I'm just going to do it. And then, but through the years, when I was younger, I did, I made bad choices. And that's because I didn't reason this stuff out before I took action. I did stupid things. And so this is what I want to do is I want to share these things that I've learned. And like I say, I know you're thinking, well, it takes too long. No, it's the same thing in self-defense. If you're walking towards me, we're on a sidewalk, and I'm walking this way, and you're walking right towards me, I can glance at you, and I can evaluate a lot of things about you. I can understand by the way you walk, by the way you carry yourself. At a glance, I can tell if you're a threat, what kind of weapons you're going to use if you are a threat, how skilled you are, what kind of physical abilities you have, what kind of limitations you have. All these things I can do just at a glance. Now, it's the same thing when I'm getting ready to do something. And when I say I'm going to do something, it could be starting a business. Let's say we're eating and there's a scuffle over here, another part of the restaurant, there's a scuffle. I will think about this stuff. Let's say I'm driving down the road and I see a group gathering, and well, I've done it before. It was a whole group of people and they were picking on one person. And so I stopped and got involved. And these are the things that I think about before this stuff happens. When I talk about the three-man militia. When I'm in the idea of I'm wanting to put a team together for drones, for cooking, for gardening, for whatever, it doesn't make any difference. I use these reasonings is what I think of, and so I use it in relationships. In other words, what I'm saying, and I mean before I get into these relationships. So these 12 points are the things that I think about when I'm getting into this stuff. Now I'll tell you, I don't have a list. Where is it? I don't have a list of them because it's a long list, but I do have it on my phone. So and see, there it is right there, and I'm gonna be going over these one at a time, starting now. Okay, here we go. Now, it says 12 points of reasoning. Like I say, these are the things I think about before I take an action. And like I say, I've done this so much now, I can do it really, really quick. Okay, number one is my moral responsibility. Okay, I do things because it's fun. I do things because it's work. I do things because it's something that I need to do. I'm obligated. I gave my word, or like I say, I work with people. So I've got to remember there's things I need to do. And so, so the first thing is I have to figure out, am I morally responsible to do this particular thing? I mean, is this something I have to do? You know, I mentioned if it was a fight going on, do I get involved? Some fights I get involved, some fights I do not get involved. I know very seldom you see a fight in Central America. Remember I told you it's well, in Guatemala, because it's illegal to hurt somebody. So people don't fight, because if they fight, everybody involved in the fight goes to jail. Now, what happened is I did see a guy that was thumping on this guy. And I thought, well, hey, I can't let this guy thump on this guy. And then so I had to watch for a few minutes or a few seconds and see what happened. And what it was a drunk guy did something to this other guy. And this other guy just started beating on him. And I mean, not severely like I'm going to kill him, just started putting a beating on him. And so I realized at that time I didn't have a moral responsibility yet, because he just beat the guy enough to let him know he screwed up and he was drunk. So he had to give him a couple extra punches to let him understand he did wrong. And so I had to watch it a little bit, and I could see. And so he stopped at the right time. And he just turned around and walked off. And so, I mean, it wasn't like he was intimidation, being a bully, or any of this type of stuff. But there are times like that. And I'm not going to go into all these stories, because I've mentioned a lot of these stories in a lot of my videos already. But there are times that I have a moral responsibility to get involved. Now, that moral responsibility is the same thing I mentioned. This trip, I've got into solar. Let's see there. I think you can see our solar panel. Oh, you probably can't see it. But there's I bought the solar panel inside now. Let's see. I don't know if you can see it or not. Yeah, there it is. That's the solar panel. I brought it inside the bus now because of weather conditions, and I'm getting ready to leave. So I'm getting this thing set up so I can just leave it now. And so do I get into these militias that are learning this stuff, or do I not? Do I have a moral responsibility? And, you know, when I make my 3-man militia videos, I got a big old list of all kinds of things. And I believe we have a moral responsibility to learn as much of these things as we can. And this will give us more, we'll be more rounded, we'll be more open, we'll be more willing to, or not willing, but able to help others when you know some of these types of skills. So, yes, I feel like I have a moral responsibility. So that's one of the things that I have to evaluate. And I say, I do that all the time. When I'm driving in Central America and bandits stop me, the police stop me, and all this kind of stuff. What moral responsibilities do I have when they stop me? And do I give them the money? You know, when do you bribe? How do you bribe? You know, is it appropriate for me to do that? Is it morally appropriate for me to do this? So, you know, the moral question is a big thing. And I think about that when things come. Now, remember, I'm experienced in a lot of stuff. So it doesn't take me but just a flash to know if I'm morally involved or do I not. I don't have any moral responsibilities. I'm just doing this
for the fun, or it's something that I'm obligated to do. That's why I'm saying I've done enough that I know when to cooperate and know when I'm not necessarily I have to cooperate. And but it takes practice and experience. But you have to think think about your morals. And once I've done this moral thing so many times, I realize when I am morally right, I can do a lot of things. I mean, there's a lot of things I can do when I'm doing it morally correct. Now, remember I said, it may not be a moral issue. It may be some other kind of issue that I'm doing it. When it's not a moral issue, then I'm doing it for other reasons. And like I say, that it makes it a little different. In other words, I've got to be talk nice to people, and if it's somebody that I don't really get along with, I got to figure out a nice way to tell them, no, I don't want to be in your militia. I don't really want to work with you on whatever it is, and because I don't feel a moral responsibility to work with this person. Now, if it's that particular militia, let's say it's a 3-man 50 caliber. Okay, it's something that's necessary, but so I may have to, even though I don't get along with this person personally, I have a moral responsibility to get along with them, and then I will. If I didn't have that moral responsibility, well, then I would be using just my moral politeness to not be involved with them. I talk about peers. You use that when you've got peers that aren't too good. You've got to be tactful when you separate yourself from them. You've learned something you don't really want to. If you got a good relationship with them, you can tell them, "Hey, I think we're going down the wrong road. We need to do something better." And then you can do. That means you got a good relationship. You can say things. But sometimes you got bad peers. If you say something like that, they get real irritable and nasty because they're not thinking morals. See, so they're just so. But anyway, so I hope I explained that good. All right, now let me see here. We're going to try the next one is safety concerns to myself and others.